Ready to do some brake lines? Huh? You help me do some brake lines now? Huh? No, all you wanted your back scratched. You can help do the brake lines? Huh? Please? Can you? So anyway, now that we got the flex lines mounted, we got to run the solid lines back to the master cylinder. So we've got a 3/16 line on each side to each from the master cylinder to the calipers. Those will be 3/16 line, and I think I'll run a 1/4 inch line from the master cylinder back to where it splits off and goes to each brake drum, and those lines will also be from the splitter over. Those lines will be 3/16 as well. So we'll get into the tools that I need to do this here. Here's what I'm using: 3/16. It's got a plastic coating on it, steel line, so 3/16 and 1/4 inch. Various bending tools, tube cutter, tape measure, and flaring tools. Let me go over there and I'll show you what I got for flaring tools. This style is probably one that a lot of people use. I particularly don't like it, don't have much luck with it. If I'm doing double flares, if I do a single flare, okay. Copper tubing, something like that, seems to work all right. For double flares on brake lines, I haven't had much luck. This thing here was a cheap one I picked up, and it'll only do 3/16 lines. I think you probably can get them for various sizes, but that one actually worked pretty good. It doesn't work all that fast, but it does a pretty good flare. This one here it's pretty pricey, but works really good. Does a lot of different sizes and a lot of different types of flares. Now this is a hydraulic tool. It does quite a few different types: GM fuel lines, double flares, push to connect, metric bubble flaring. The only one that I've used so far is for double flares. Makes a real nice flare. Seems to seal up real good all the time. Alright, well, let's get to forming some lines and flaring some lines. After cutting it, you need to deburr the end, like so. hit it with a file to maybe take any other loose material off. Like so. So that's what that looks like after it's all cleaned up. Now probably about 99.9% of the time, it's a good idea to slide your nut on before you flare it. So next we select the die set. And then the tube gets inserted there. And the tube you want to be flush with the end of the die. Once that's where you want it, you tighten down the die. Okay, so first part, this goes in here. Pop that out. See if I can show you what it looks like. That's the first bubble. And then we drop this taper that's fitting in next. Fitting, I don't know what it's called. Apply pressure again. Till it stops. That's what that looks like. Okay, here's what I got run so far as hard lines go. These two smaller ones are to the front. This one and this one, oops, goes to the front calipers. Take it down. Follow down there, down underneath the frame, and right up there to the flex hose. The other line goes across there by that magnet. It'll get attached to that square tube cross member. Go over to the other side. So that comes across underneath that radiator hose, makes a loop down underneath there, and goes into the flex hose there. Now for the rear brakes, got that line coming on out of the back, goes down, does a little loop-de-loop, and heads back down the rail, comes out there, runs down along there on the frame, and it's going to go and tie in over there by the hump. Okay, here's one transmission line, all bent up and flared on the ends. Ran out of flare nuts, so I ended up having to pick an old one off an old line, and got a new one on that end. So I have to make a second one that is pretty much identical, except needs to be a little bit longer. This length here has to be a little bit longer, but the rest of it should be pretty much the same. So first we need to make this 90. It's got to be a little bit longer because I want this tube to run alongside here. So we'll make this brake first. Now we got to make this brake, this little 45. Something kind of like that. From here to here, 6 inches longer. Let's see how far off we are. Okay, transmission cooling lines are run now. They go down or out of the radiator. Underneath the bottom radiator hose, down along the frame, underneath the motor mount, back to the transmission, down along the rail there. I've got to still make up all the mounts. I've got some rubber, stainless steel and rubber straps that I'm going to use. I'll show you those in a little bit. But there it comes back to the transmission. These are the clamps I'm going to use to anchor all those lines. They're stainless steel with rubber. Okay, now that we have the flex lines in front and back mounted and ready to go, we need to pipe the solid lines. Boy, can you guys even see me? Why is that so dark?